Let's talk about it. Intro music, intro music, intro music. Yeah, Timmy Talks. Welcome to Timmy Talks. My name's Timmy, and today we'll be recapping the Chicago Bears and Arizona matchup. The Arizona Cardinals absolutely routed the Chicago Bears 29-9 in a game where the Chicago Bears were completely outclassed, outcoached, and outplayed in every aspect of the game on Sunday. It was truly an embarrassing and depressing thing to watch as a Chicago Bears fan. Definitely not the worst thing I've seen in my lifetime, but it's up there for sure. What exactly went wrong for the Chicago Bears? Let's start with the glaring issue, the offense, which is always the issue. The offense is always an issue. So starting with the offense had a total of 241 yards, 172 of those were in the air, and only 69, nice. Only 69 of those yards were on the ground. Obviously, with being behind so early in the game, there wasn't a lot of opportunities to run the ball. It was a close matchup in the first half, so I think they could have potentially tried to run the ball more. But the Chicago Bears running games was atrocious. They weren't able to get any sort of push. And even if they did get a push, there was always a linebacker, Buda Baker, or a lineman on the backside able to kind of come across and make the play for a minimum gain. So it just kind of had to, Shane ran away from the running game. Get it? He ran away from the running game. The Bears only converted 3 of their 14 third downs, which is 21%, and gave up 6 sacks to the Arizona Cardinals defense. One of the goods, no turnovers. So I guess that's a positive, bright thing to look at. So what exactly happened? How are the Arizona Cardinals, who were a very low pressure and had a very low amount of sacks going into this game, how are they able to dial up so much pressure? I think they had, I want to say 16 players had a pressure. If I read that stat correctly, there's some absurd amount of different players getting pressures during this game. And this is what happened. You had a rookie quarterback, you had an offensive line that is completely banged up and really inexperienced with playing each other, and then also you had an OC that was just completely outclassed by a better defensive coordinator that Jonathan Gannon is as the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. What they did really well was disguising where the pressure was actually coming from. So what they do is they line up in some type of formation, make Caleb and the offensive line slide in a certain direction. So they thought that the pressure and the people were going to be coming on to the right. And then once they made that slide, a safety or linebacker on the opposite side, so our left side in this play, for example, would come down really late, like right before the snap of the ball, and then because the offensive line is sliding to where they think the pressure is going to the right, it leaves Buda Baker or whatever linebacker or whatever player really completely unblocked and a free run to Caleb. Most of the time he was able to make the miss, sometimes he wasn't, and then the defensive line stunts that they did really was just really hard for our offensive line. And then also Larry Borom, our left tackle, you just got to bull rush him and you'll put him in Caleb's lap. You'll make Caleb feel some type of pressure if you just bull rush him. There's, I want to say, 3 to 4 guys that just completely long-armed and walked him back into the quarterback. It's insane how little strength or base. I'm not an offensive lineman. I don't really know offensive line play. I know very basic stuff, but defending a bull rush is like number one because that is the easiest, most efficient pass rush that you can do. If you can't stop a bull rush, you're going to get bowled every time because it is real easy to just run really hard into someone, grab their chest plate, and then drive them back. And that's what happened a lot of the time with Larry. He got bull rushed a lot of times, and he got put into Caleb's lap or near Caleb a lot, and he felt the pressure and then had to kind of ditch the design play and had to do what he did by extending. So it was very unfortunate. It wasn't a fun watch seeing this offensive line be as bad as it was, but what was even worse was watching the film and seeing that the play design was just as atrocious. It was insane how uncreative of play designs that Shane was calling and how little separations that the receivers were able to create when it was man on man, and or the designs of the play to find empty spaces in the zones. It felt like there was a Cardinals defender within 3 yards of every Bears offensive player every snap of the ball. Very few times were there actually plays that got people open. And actually, credit to Shane, in the red zone, he did dial up a very nice man beater, which had DJ Moore coming across the field wide open, butt naked. I could make the pass to him, and he still walks into the end zone. But instead, Caleb blocked on his one-on-one with Keenan Allen, threw up a chance ball, ended up being incomplete. But I don't get the fascination or why exactly we're trying to feed Keenan Allen so much. Look, I get it. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great receiver back in his day. We got to be able to look at people and see what they are in the moment and right now. He's a 31-year-old receiver. He's lost his step. He is not as quick and as explosive as he used to be. There are occasionally sometimes where he's able to create separation and get space, but he doesn't do it as consistent or as well as he has in the past. And we have to realize that. We have to realize that we can't keep force-feeding 31-year-old Keenan Allen the ball when he doesn't have that much separation. Instead, I don't know, maybe we target our big old tight end, Cole Kmet, once? Like, once? We didn't even target him once all game? Like, why do they want to make it as difficult as possible for Caleb Williams and this offense to succeed? You also have Roman Tuesday, who's really blossomed and had a really good game this past Sunday. I really like how he's kind of growing, and I hope that he only gets better and better. And him and Caleb really kind of get a really good connection. There's a lot of big plays that they connected with on Caleb's scramble, looking for someone to get open. So I'm hoping that that's going to get better as the year goes on. DJ Moore, I don't know what's wrong with that guy. There's a play circling around with him walking off the field when Caleb's extending, looking for someone to be open. It did look like he was grabbing his hamstring or he's grabbing something and kind of limped off to the bench. So I kind of understand that. But like all year, like he just hasn't been as consistent and open as I would like him to. I don't know how much of that is due to him and like kind of his attitude and his effort on plays, or how much that has to do with the coaching and how they're trying to utilize him. I feel like we should be feeding this guy like way more, but we're so fixated on Keenan Allen, which is okay, I guess, but I'd much rather live and die with DJ Rome and Kmet than trying to throw a one-on-one contested fade to Keenan Allen, who isn't much taller than the corner that was on him. He's not going to blow by him. He's not that quick, and he's not going to be able to jump higher than me either. So I just don't understand, if we see a one-on-one with Keenan Allen, why we're going to him instead of Rome or DJ Moore. But regardless, this whole game, none of the receivers and or tight ends were able to create separations all that much. Their officiating crew, they let the guys play. There's a lot of hand fighting. There's a lot of holding at the top of the routes. But if they're going to be consistent throughout the game, you have to be able to adjust and make changes or be able to go off that. But whenever they dialed up man and had some pressure coming in, no one was able to get separation. There's no hot routes. There's no quick, easy games. There's nothing to help Caleb deal with the pressure. It was just kind of like, well, I hope we block all our guys, all the guys that we're supposed to block. We have 6, but they're rushing 7. I hope our 13-yard, 15-yard developing play happens quicker than it actually is. But no, we have Cole Kmet, love the guy, but why do we have him running 15-yard corners? He's a tight end. I feel like he should be more of a intermediate kind of shallow kind of target. We also have Keenan Allen on deep ball threats, which again doesn't really make sense because he's not a burner. Meanwhile, we have like Roman Dunsey and DJ Moore that could potentially be in that role. But I digress. I'm no NFL coach. I'm just a dude talking into a microphone and looking at a camera. What do I know? I do know what bad offense is because I've been watching that my whole life, and this is another one. The Bears' offense is really bad. And also, as much as I love Caleb Williams, he is not out of the woods either. He made some really bad decisions and really bad throws. I already talked about the DJ Moore one. There's other throws where he just kind of decides to just chuck it and throw it into double coverage, throw it into a really tight window, hoping that DJ Moore or Keenan Allen's able to come down with it when he has a wide open check down, either Cole Kmet or Swift, for an easy 3 to 5 yard gains, if not even more. If they're able to break a tackle, kind of like make something. They're athletes, get them the ball. But he turned down a lot of checkdowns. Even when the game wasn't out of reach, like there's times where it was like 9:21 and he just completely turned down a check down to Swift to make it a 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 5. Instead, he throws it into a real tight window and makes it 2nd and 10. I believe there's like right before half, so it would have helped get us more into field goal range. The Bears end up kicking a field goal anyways in that drive, but anyways, it could potentially help move the chain. I also don't really, I believe they had their timeouts. I'm not sure how many timeouts they had exactly, so that might have gone into the decision of throwing it downfield. But yes, so the good of this offense, kind of already touched on it. I think Rome is really good. I believe the competitive drive of Caleb Williams is a really good sign. Unfortunately, it did get him potentially hurt at the end of the game, but I love seeing the kid play every single play like it matters, because it does, and playing it till the very end of the game. Yeah, we're down 29-9. You didn't really have to do all you're doing, and it really sucks that if he did get hurt, that's the outcome. But I'd much rather have to pull someone back and tell them to dial it down a little bit than have to start someone up. So I really love the competitive drive that he has, and I think that competitive drive and that desire to win is very contagious and can kind of take over a locker room once you start getting a win. And it only starts with one, and hopefully next week it's that one. But once you start rolling, once you start feeling each other and feeling like you guys can go anywhere and win anything, then it's just super contagious. And it's confidence is the thing that you really need to be the best of the best. Right now, the Bears don't have any of that confidence. Hopefully, they're able to get something going against the Patriots next week to kind of rebuild that confidence, get them back on their feet. But we will see. All right, now on to the Bears defense. So the Bears were missing some really key pieces with Montez Sweat, Brisker, and Gordon all being out. And obviously with 3 huge defensive players being out, it was kind of a shell of itself. On the day, they gave up 350 total offensive yards. 213 of those came on the ground and 137 were in the air. The Cardinals converted 5 of their 13 third downs, which is 40%. And then the Bears had 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles with 2 fumble recoveries. So as I talked about in the preview, and what I was scared about going into this game was the Arizona's run offense against our really bad run defense, and it really reared its head in this game, giving up 213 yards. 107 of those came to James Conner, who averaged 5.9 yards per carry, which is just kind of embarrassing and shouldn't happen, especially when you're supposed to be a strong defensive team. But I digress. Matt Eberflus kind of just got out-coached on this side of the ball as well. He stayed in the same formation, kind of didn't really make any adjustments. I was really frustrated with how there's 0 run blitzes or any kind of formations or anything to really help stop the run, either with setting the edge or just shooting a gap and like hoping to get a TFL. I think he was worried about the potential play action with Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride and Michael Wilson and their vertical threats, but it's like you got to stop the run. There's a drive in the second quarter that the Arizona Cardinals were just literally handing the ball off, and it was like 14 yards, 15 yards, 16 yards, 7-yard runs. It was insane, and Matt Eberflus did nothing to adjust or called any plays to really help stop the run. They just kept letting them get big runs, which is, I mean, football 101. You got to stop the run and make it a one-dimensional game for them. But we didn't, and there's no coaching adjustments or any design or schemes to kind of stop that. The passing defense is actually pretty good. It'd be nice if the Bears were actually ahead of games and having to force opponents to pass the ball, which would play into their strengths. But instead, they're behind a lot, so the teams are able to kind of hand the ball off and go against a soft, weaker run defense. The issue that I saw on film was no one was able to get off their blocks. No one was able to beat their man. No one was able to kind of like shoot a gap and make a play. Everyone kind of just got pushed back, got stuck on their block, or took a bad angle and just wasn't able to make a tackle. And trying to solo tackle James Conner is just a recipe for disaster. I will give a shout out to Jalen Johnson, who made an awesome open field tackle against James Conner. That's why I think he's an all-pro corner. But everyone else really struggled against him. I mean, I don't blame them. Dude's a really strong, hard-running running back, but I just had higher expectations for this Bears defense. It's just supposed to be the strength of this team, and they kind of just got exposed. So some positives, because there's got to be some positives. I think Jacob Martin flashed a good amount on film. He was kind of someone I kind of went like, oh, that was nice. That was a good play. That was a good effort. Booker, he's young. He's not great against the run, but he has a high motor and had a lot of effort. And then obviously Jalen was doing Jalen. He was locking down whoever was up against him. And everyone else was kind of just lackluster. It was very average. This defense looked like a very average defense. Didn't look excellent. Didn't look elite or anything like the expectations we had going into the seasons of them. And that's kind of unfortunate. Hopefully they're able to bounce back against a weaker New England Patriots offense and kind of get back on the right track. And hopefully we finally get Gordon, Brisker, and Sweat back healthy, because the Bears desperately need those guys on the field playing. So yeah, that's how the Chicago's offense and defense performed against the Arizona Cardinals. Next week they take on the New England Patriots. On paper, a weaker team, but anyone going against the Bears can easily beat them, given what we've seen on film. The Bears are 4-4, hoping to get back over 500. If they do, they increase their chance to potentially making the playoffs. I don't think this team's a playoff team, but I also don't think it's a top 10 pick kind of team. So we will see what happens. With how things are going right now, it seems like this coaching staff has completely lost the faith and belief of the locker room. It seems it's the typical players disagree with how dumb the coaches are. The coaches are calling plays that the players aren't executing well. So it's kind of just everyone's doing a bad job. And when everyone does a bad job, you fire the coaches. And then they bring in new coaches. And then those coaches try to coach these players, but then realize that these players are bad. So then we fire the GM. And then we restart all over again in 3 to 4 years. Yay. But if you don't like that, you don't like Bears football. And I love Bears football, unfortunately. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And this has been Timmy Talks.